हाय, मेरा नाम है कपिल और आपका स्वागत है विजन ऑटोमेशन सॉल्यूशन के यूट्यूब चैनल पेज पे। एपिसोड 2 को इतना प्यार देने के लिए शुक्रिया। इसी में लेके आया हूँ एपिसोड 3। आज का एपिसोड थोड़ा सा बड़ा होने वाला है। थोड़ी सी देर में ज़्यादा नॉलेज जाननी है तो इस वीडियो को लाइक करिए, शेयर करिए और सब्सक्राइब करिए यूट्यूब चैनल पेज को। और हमारे साथ ऐसे ही बने रहिए। आप प्लीज़ कमेंट करिए और मेरे को बताइए, क्योंकि आप कमेंट नहीं करेंगे तो मेरे को बिल्कुल भी पता नहीं चलेगा।
What we have first, this is an touch sensor but for metals. This is a metallic touch sensor. Touch sensor can be used instead of a push button. The advantage is we don't need to insert force in order to press a button. Even we can activate a key without touching it using a touch sensor, and yes, without touching it. Touch sensor technologies become popular day by day. We might interact with it every day and every hour. Even mobile phones nowadays have a touch sensor or a touch screen, we can say. There are various numbers of touch sensing protocol, but what this metallic touch sensors principle is, we are going to see now. This Arduino metallic touch sensor is based on MOSFET. The gate of the MOSFET is left open. Source of the MOSFET is connected to the operational amplifier, and that name of that amplifier is LM393. When the gates of the MOSFET is touched, or we can say finger is touched, charge is induced in the gates of MOSFET and it start conducting. And simultaneously at the same time, operational amplifier invert input threshold breaks up and operational amplifier also starts conducting. Arduino metallic touch sensor output an analog value as well as a digital value, digital signal more precisely we can say. Analog value depends on the threshold set and induced charge in the gate of MOSFETs, but digital however only outs the high when the gates is touched, and normally it remains low because gates are not touching. We also come to know that there is another touch sensor that is also compatible to Arduino, that is capacitive touch sensor. Actually it is a type of capacitor. If you are interested, leave a comment that I want to know about capacitive touch sensor and I'll go for that. Metallic sensor can be interfaced with Arduino in two different ways, either in digitally or in an analog form. This is ground, this is 5 volt, this is for digital out, and this is the first one is for analog out. We can simply insert this in 8 analog pins from analog 0 to analog 5. There are 6 pins in Arduino. In digital, we can attach this with any digital pin from 2 to 13. There are 14 digital pins. So moving on, what we have now, this is a tracking sensor. Its industrial name is KY033 and its principle is so easy. This sensor module detects if a light reflecting or absorbing area is in front of it. This module uses an IR transmitter and receiver that will detect how reflective the surface is in front of that module. As you can see, there is a potentiometer that can be used to adjust the sensitivity of the module so it can detect if the surface is black or white. So talking about its pin configuration, the first one is ground, second one is VCC, and third one is out. Out stands for output. Ground connects to the ground, VCC connect to the 5 volt of Arduino, and out connects to any digital pin. Its programming is very simple. There is an if and else condition. If the value is high, then it will show line is detected, and then else value is low, it will show line is not detected. Very simple. Its application is the most famous line following robot. Now moving on to the third one, this is an analog temperature sensor. Its industrial name is KY013. This analog temperature sensor measures ambient temperature based on resistance of the thermostat. This sensor consists of NTC thermostat and a 100 kilo ohm resistor. The resistance of the thermostat varies varies with surrounding temperature. We'll use the We can use Steinhardt's equation to derive precise temperature of the thermostat. But the question is how it works. Unlike thermostat, it don't have a temperature sensitivity resistor. Instead, this sensor uses the property of a diode. And what is it? As diode changes temperature, the voltage changes with it at a known rate. The sensor measures the small changes and output an analog value between 0 and 1.7 VDC based on it. Its configuration, or we can say connection with Arduino, is very simple. There's a 3-pin layout that's again happening. This is a 3-pin layout. S denotes for the signal. This is a signal. Middle one is 5 volt and the right, extreme right, is minus, that connects to the ground. As its name says, analog temperature, we have to connect signal to any analog pin that we have initialized in our code. Now moving on to our next module, this is a ball switch, and more precisely we can say this is a ball tilt switch. This simple yet effective tilt switch sensor module houses a metallic ball which sits in a tube with electric contact. As your robot or any autonomous vehicle tilts, the ball rolls onto the onto the contact, and a circuit is completed that then sends a signal to the sandbag, any open source module you are using. And for example, now we are using Arduino. It sends signal to Arduino that we are not in our original position. As you can see, this is a 3-pin configuration module. This S denotes for the signal that's connected to your digital pin. The middle one is for 5 volt power supply, and this negative connects to the ground. It works on a principle that when the power is supplied, the rolling ball falls onto the bottom of the sensor to form an electrical correction. When the sensor is tilted, the rolling ball doesn't fall to the bottom, so the current cannot flow the two end terminals of the sensor. Tilt sensors are widely used in mobile phones for auto rotation function, in games, satellite and vehicles, as we have discussed earlier.
तो दोस्तों आज के लिए बस इतना ही. हम मिलेंगे अगले एपिसोड में. तब तक के लिए लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलिए.